You're watching the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, an all-transgender, people-of-color-led dark fantasy TTRPG show set in an original non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. If you like what you see, please consider pledging to our Patreon to support the show and get access to a patron-only after-show, early podcast episodes, GM notes, character sheets, and even the chance for your tabletop OC to cameo in our series. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. Content warnings for this episode include fire, immolation, environmental destruction, flying, heights, falling, ghosts, storms, monsters and monstrosity, fantasy violence, manipulation, complex and complicated relationships, body horror, and explosions. Arc 1, Episode 30. When I'm Gone. From Self-Eulogy of a Martyr by Connie Chong. The old growth wood is burning. Columns of flame wave like crimson death flags in a dry wind, spitting thick clouds of ash onto the bare roots of the canopy. Under the pale light of the twin moons, the ashen leviathan reforms. Its lashing tails bristle amidst the smoke and the flame. It plunges into the burning thrash and rustles westward through the branches, drowning everything in its wake in ash. We push westward over thick mounds of naked, burning roots. The fire isn't just spreading, it's cropping up everywhere in little pockets of hungry flame. As the heart of the Wildsea burns at the bottom of the world, so does every part of it in the drown. The sink, the thrash, the tangle, the surface. We see those cactus pads, each the size of a trampoline, painted orange from fire. We see the roving mawship, its bony hull ablaze as its low-slung tread tramples over the knotted vines of the old growth wood, stamping out the fires around it even as it continues to burn. We see the tall-shank trees, teeming with panic as its inhabitants try desperately to stem the rising red at the roots of their home. We push farther west, hurtling into greenery now mottled with crimson until we find the sailing stones of the Riah, bobbing in the verdant surf. Pockets of flame grow rapaciously around the ships, leashed to these stones, bloody fingers stretching eagerly toward broadwood hulls and iron-root outriders. And then, descending from the floating royal islands, sky warriors. An entire murder of them, dozens, 100, torquing through the air on thousands of feathers. These warriors dive and soar, ripping up fearsome gales that buffet these spitting flames. Up above, on the edge of Aminu Gate, King Zumarud Jadir and Queen Amin Alyakut swiftly give orders to these sky warriors, shouting at them to break the flames with gales and wind. Down below, astride their commanding ship, Admiral Sahim Kubra leads the royal fleet around the hazards and flames of the dock, staunching fires and rescuing the stranded. The warriors circle in the air. They twist, they glide. A whirlwind springs from their surging wings. The fire hisses, the heat seizes. But they need more. These gales are on the teetering brink between snuffing out the flame and feeding it. They need more strength, more force, more raw, sheer power. And then, diving down on an elder Triphorodon the size of a whale, King Maswu Zahar. The frame of his mechanical feathered wings is balanced across elbows and scapulae. As the Triphorodon dives toward those wavering flames, Maswu leaps off her back. He spreads his wings, revealing a span of 30, 40 feet, and the scion of body joins his warriors in the sky, flapping his feathers with an almighty gusto. His Triphorodon, too, beats her wings, the sound of it like thunder breaking the sky. The flames grow smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and we cut south to Chongsin Surge. This reach is comprised of hale, jagged settlements built upon the exposed roof of an ancient pagoda so wide that every layered tier can hold an entire village, and so tall that the temple's base begins from somewhere within the darkness under eaves. The Surge's people are as hardy as the storms that batter them daily. They are used to argonautical disasters, magical anomalies, cyclones of spirit and fury. So, as fire springs from nowhere, like spirit lamps being lit by angry ghosts, the people of Chongsin Surge do as they've always done. They rally. Under the command of Countess Pike Danohan, Suhyon's paternal cousin, the Magi and Mudong of the Surge's court galvanize at once. They rush to the edges of their sprawling courtyards, hands outstretched, lips in constant murmuration, and we feel the very atmosphere itself begin to charge. Surging out of the now, from the after, pressing themselves into existence are the ancestral spirits of the Wildsea, their voices hollow with fury. These ghosts rush forward toward those crimson waves, wrapping their translucent forms around the fires and suffocating the oxygen out of them. The people of the Surge also act. The pirates and sellswords and sailors and gamblers, they take to their ships, fearless and roaring. They fill their ship-mounted armaments with the crude water of the Surge's many pools and waterfalls, and they fire at the flames. Amidst these proud common folk, we find Pirate Queen Axel and her stalwart crew working together as a well-oiled, silent machine. Their journey west has yielded a breadcrumb trail of just missed clues. Iphigenia had escaped Axel's grasp once more, but not for long. Axel is on their way back east astride their cocoon-powered ship. They just need to beat back these flames first. As a cloud of watery arrows descends upon the Surge's fires, we fall down to find Siren's Song. The mountain is gray, the trees are green, and the fire is red, red, red. It eats the waves, lapping at the harbor, and begins to eat the harbor too. The people of Siren's Song are shouting, throwing water, moving up the hillside as a crimson tide begins to swallow the base of their home. And up above, standing at the edge of the royal palace, looking down at this spreading fire and panic, is Queen Hylian Mylesia. Her stern face is drawn and grave. Every soul shank vine that the fire consumes, she feels in her heart of hearts. She looks past the flames, past the waves, at the unending horizon where she knows her daughter is fighting, as she looks back at her people. Mylesia takes a deep breath and closes her eyes. She draws upon a connection she hasn't summoned in over a quarter of a century, but she knows has always been there waiting for her to call upon it in her most dire time of need. She feels that connection braiding her toward her daughter, and a smile chances upon Mylesia's lips. You're doing it, Amerjin, aren't you? Stepping into your destiny as a scion. I can feel the power leaving me as it flows into you, but it's not completely gone yet. Your old woman still has a few tricks up her sleeve, and Mylesia opens her eyes and they are glowing. And then the storm comes. Thick clouds coalesce, rumbling with thunder, flashing with lightning above your heads. Rain descends upon the flames. The deluge is immense and relentless. The fire beneath hisses in pain, retreats, shrinks, screams, and still Mylesia commands it, and still the rain falls. We see the queen's chest heaving, her skin soaked to the bone, her eyes glowing like a cerulean lighthouse. She feels every drop of water as it hisses against fire, senses every explosion of evaporation as though she herself were being burned into oxygen. And yet she persists, because she is the queen, because she too, like her daughter, is the heart of the Wildsea. We fly east, past the reigns of Siren Song, past the Mudang and pirates of Chongsin Surge, past the Royal Navy and Sky Warriors of the Riah, past the ancient strongholds of the old growth wood, down into the thrash, the tangle, the sink, and the drown, and the darkness under eaves to find Aragnis, coiled like a firing pin, red as marrow blood, jaws unhewn and smoldering. Beneath him, we find Nova and the Scions, and the hearts of the Wildsea. Amerjin, you ripple with power and storm in the canopy of the darkness under eaves, your mouth brimming with sparks of gushing thunder. Aragnis snarls down against your fury, where your force meets his, steam erupts and hisses in thick, violent plumes. You see his fires swirling around him, but several large tongues are beginning to ribbon down to Seir, dozens of feet beneath you as he conducts this storm of fire. What do you do, Scion of Heart?
So you see, I have two things I need to do, and I can only do one thing. That's why you have to think smart, not hard. It's very hard to conduct an evil villain storm of fire if you get knocked on your ass. Whenever Regnus looks down at me next with some fucking, like, quippy line to say, calling me child or some shit, I want to shoot like a blast of like lightning into their mouth, just like straight up, like as soon as they like say, like, I want to shoot lightning right into their mouth.
Fuck yeah! Make me a roll for that. So that's either gonna be iron or teeth, I think, as the edge.
Okay. Let's say teeth.
Okay. What skill are you bringing in?
Let's see here. Let me think. It wouldn't be. I was like, it's not. Can it be? Okay, hear me out. Could it be outwit? Because I'm not trying to necessarily hurt Regnus. I'm trying to like knock Regnus off his game to like stop. Like, don't try and fireball the little fleshy human people. Fight the big dragon.
What you're hoping to get out of this is that he focuses on you, as opposed to like completely breaking it, which feels impossible at this point. Yes, absolutely. So make that roll, and remember, add 3d6 because you are in dragon form.
Sick.
I'm gonna cut 2 from this, because Regnus, with every passing moment, is getting stronger and sharper, and as he gets bigger, his field of vision and perception of this fight is widening. It's going to be difficult to deceive a god. As he's growing to the heart of his fury.
Can I use my aspect lightning call?
Yeah, what does that do?
I can shoot lightning. It's like Armiger can shoot lightning.
That adds an additional d6 to the pool, yes.
Sick. Okay. If Connie did not give me 3 extra d6, I would only have 1. I give you the highest 2 numbers?
No, you cut the highest 2 from your pool.
Oh, I like rolled 2 less dice, so 1 second. Okay. So I cut the highest 2, so that leaves me with 2 5s.
That's pretty good. That is a conflict with a twist. So on a conflict, that's a success with a drawback. So I think what happens is, as Regnus turns to survey the field around him, sure enough, as he opens his mouth, but instead of his jaw moving with every word, you just hear it emanating from every lick of flame burning up the canopies around you. He says, "You foolish child. You," and then you shoot that lightning bolt right on the word child. And what does it look like as it explodes from your body?
It is not like, so like lightning, you see like blue or like teal, but I think Armorgen is like still on the edge of like uncontrollable rage. I think it comes out like jet black.
Ooh, jet black lightning? Yeah. It lances out from your body like a violent obsidian javelin and punches right into his open maw. And we see it explode out the back of his throat and vanish deeper into the canopy beyond, lighting up the darkness under eaves with black illumination before it fizzles out into ozone. And though we see a hole forming in the fire that makes up the back of his neck, braids of flame begin to ribbon back together to patch it up as he turns his head away from the majority of the fight and settles his burning, sizzling gaze on you.
What did I say earlier? You are nothing but a nuisance. You have already reached the apex of your power. Get just a taste of my ascension.
Rah! He opens his maw and just pummels you with a pillar of flame. That's going to be the drawback. So as this huge column of fire just blasts you full in the face, I need you to mark 3.
Okay. I can do that.
Yes.
Can I say something back to this?
Absolutely.
Thing?
100%.
Cool. You see, that is where you are wrong. You have only gotten a taste of what the Scions can do. Child.
Oh! And the twist I'm going to give you is you see, even though his eyes are hollow flames, you see them narrow. And the redness starts to turn darker, starts to turn like a charcoal kind of black in the pits of his gaze. As the twist you get is insight into how Eregnus thinks, how he behaves. What you said seemed to touch on something that really pissed him off. He hates being talked down to. Hates it, because for so long he has been powerless. For 3 centuries he's had to rely on this Baron of Ash, on people. He's a god, reduced to having to whisper in the ears of mortals that he would have crushed in his prime. And he's still remembering his prime. He's trying to get back to it. He's living in a past that's already been burned to ash. So instead of allowing the future to come rolling in green, he's trying to take it down in ash as well.
Peaked in high school, got it.
Yeah, he still wears his Letterman and is like, remember when I scored that half-court 3-pointer that crushed the... Nah, Mars, you can cut that from the podcast. Anyway... Absolutely. We pan down on these roaring flames to find in the center of this whipping cyclone of fire, Seir.
Seir is whipping up the cyclone, attempting to siphon all of the flames from Eregnus, and seeing Armorgen lead us in this particular round of combat, striking back against Eregnus. Seir remembers his siblings' words echoing in his mind. Distraction. This is what he's trained for his entire life. He is to be the bulwark for his strike team, and by God will he do so. Should I say by fate will he do so? And as he draws back into the flame, his own flame, Connie, what I would like to do is use Eregnus's flame that I'm siphoning, tap into my own internal power, and convert it into mine to strike back at him. So I'm not only siphoning it away, I'm converting it and whacking him again.
Okay, that's gonna either be a Grace, Sharps, or Veil's Edge, I think, unless you can try to sell me on a different one. Teeth? Teeth. You know what? I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you, because you're just using, like, pure fierceness to do this. Okay. Yeah. What skill are you bringing in?
Break.
Break? Okay. Yeah. Go for it. I'm gonna have you cut 2. Similar to Armorgen. The more this battle drags on, the harder it is to fight against Eregnus.
Fantastic. I will use my Guide My Hands trait to burn a measure of my internal powers competency to gain additional 2 ranks. So that is
Go for it.
5d6. So I will roll 5d6.
What does it look like as you're bringing in Guide My Hands?
Ooh. Just so you know what the roll is, that is, so cut 2. That's still 2 5s and a 1.
Okay, a conflict with a twist yet again.
Yep. The way this looks is that Seir is eyes closed almost meditatively inside the cyclone of fire that he is imbued within. And after a heartbeat, 2 heartbeats, the branch beneath him gives way. He clicks the buttons on his gauntlets and his black feathers open up beneath him, and he starts spinning in place with using the heat and the fire to keep him afloat. And as he is doing this in this meditative state, he calls to it, to whatever sleeps within him that's silent inside him, and just says, a bit more. I need a bit more from you. Just let me prove that this power means something to me, to us. Please. And I will attempt to convert the red arterial flame to obsidian.
Obsidian. Okay. As this red fire surges around you, we see ribbon by ribbon, tongue by tongue, finger by finger, crimson begin to melt to blue and then to pure black as it spins around you until what's surrounding you is a pure obsidian tornado of flame that doesn't burn you but rather exudes a kind of different destructive force that isn't heat, isn't fire, but is uniquely you, Seir. And in this moment, you feel attuned to it. You feel in control, not the kind of control Aregnus had afforded you, but a kind of control you're stepping forward into your own in a real, genuine way. And as this black flame swings around you, where are you directing it? Upward?
I am directing it to the side of Aregnus's face and the neck. And as I am launching these bits of attack towards Aregnus, I say, hey, eyes on me, puny god.
Blade after blade after blade of pure destructive shadow, void, thunder, lightning, heat, flame, ice, whatever this is, it's elemental and it's destructive and it's you. It shoots out of you and it slashes across the side of his fiery face, across his throat, across the upper rib of his shoulder, and he flinches backward even as Amerjin also continues to surge toward him, and he lets out a nuts, and poof, an explosion of fire sonic booms out of him and sweeps downward toward that burning branch you're standing on. The drawback is going to be you're going to get hit with this pretty hard. You're also going to have to mark 3 boxes as you're buffeted by this destructive force from Aregnus.
Happily, I'll take that.
The twist I'll give you is Sing. She is standing upon a floating pink platform, several dozen feet even above Amerjin, a couple dozen feet away from the heart of the battle. She's breathing really heavily, has been acting as a distracting force, even as a bossy surges forward and continues pecking, basically, with little slashes from her gauntlets, acting as like a diving crow to distract Aregnus. You see your sister look down at you, and her pink eyes are bright and burning as she sees you channel this energy in a way that you seem to have some measure of control over. And you see her pink eyes light up. As the twist is, you've inspired your sister. She pauses in her frenetic attacks toward Aregnus and closes her eyes. And you feel something, Seir. You feel a bond between the two of you resonate outward as Sing, too, is tapping into some deep, latent power within herself that she's always been aware of, but even as the Chosen One has never fully stepped into. And you begin to see the pink around her thin out. The glow starts to thin to ribbons that are floating around her. No, threads. And the threads around her are starting to turn red. Not red like a redness, but red in some perceptual way. And then we push down to Lumièra and Xainan. Noah shivers upon the dark, scorched ground, flakes of his own skin peeling off his chest in plumes of bright, desiccated ash. He coughs, a shuddering, faded cough. And Lumièra, that bright red X in front of you glitches one more time as you blink before buzzing out of existence. Noah's pale, washed-out eyes sees you. He pushes himself onto his hands, and even though he's shaking, it's clear from his expression he did not see that flickering X. His eyes are trained on you. How dare you, girl?
You heard her name.
Don't make me have to remind you again. You should know it by now. So, it seems we've come to an impasse. You can't go no further. So, I can finish what I started here. Or, kneel and stay down.
What?
Did I stutter, Noah? See, the thing about me is when I find out someone's name, I intend to use it. You know nothing of what I can do. On your knees.
Lumièra, that's a roll. That's a roll. That's a roll, baby girl. I'm gonna give you an extra 1d6 though, just circumstantial, because you dropped his name, and the shock that spreads across his face like blood across snow is imminent. So the edge, I think, is either gonna be teeth or iron, but you can sell me on a different one.
I will absolutely go for iron. I'll go
Let's
for
do it.
iron for sure. And I want, let me see. I'm terrified now. I'm like, what dice do I use? Please don't fucking screw me.
Only the good one.
Right. I'm like, yeah. Okay. And then I want to offer study as a skill. Because I want to know exactly what using his name did.
Okay, yeah, into it. So roll iron plus study with a +1 circumstantial d6.
Gotcha.
What'd you get?
I think this is the hottest shit I've ever seen in my life because it's 2 6s sitting right here and
Let's go! I love this. I love this. Every single word that you throw at him cuts deep in the same place, precise and intense. And what you get from your study is that name, that word, was one that he tried to walk away from. And you remember that memory you dipped into of Noah, of seeing his father, that same faded, hateful figure that he's now grown up to become. You see his father's mouth move in the syllables to form that word Noah, and there's a sneer at the side of that old man's mouth, Noah. It was a name that was given to him, not one that he wanted to claim, but yet one that he grew up being anyway. Because you see, Lumièra, Noah may have been raised in hatred, but he always had a choice. He always had the choice to move away from it, but he did not. And every image that flashes across your mind of who the paths he took to become who he is now may have been started by his father, but he chose to end it himself. Like this.
you disgrace. You have had every single opportunity to make things right once you have learned from your mistakes, but instead you wallow in it. you draw hatred from it. It should push you forward for change, for better. Do something about it. Don't take it out on everyone else. Grow up.
That is motherfucking devastating. You see the aggression on Noah's face, like the hatred, the condescension with every word that you say, because there's anger in your voice as well. But even more devastating than that, there's understanding, because you see him for who he truly is. And all that aggression fades away, it cracks, and you just see this faded, violent person who has never done anything that was hard, because that would mean doing the right thing. And he is just knelt there looking at you, propped up on one hand, and all of that aggression just fades away, and you just see like a shadow of a man staring at you, vibrating there almost between realities. Like one more word from you might crumble all of him into dust, even as you see that pulsing liminal in his chest that you're still controlling with perfect precision flake away more and more of his sternum into ash.
I widen it just a little bit.
I thought you were a healer, Lumièra. Isn't there some part of you, some compassionate, pitying part of you that knows what you're doing to me is wrong? Because yes, I may have done things that I'm not proud of. But you, if you keep doing this to me, you too, you will become no better than me. You will become a murderer.
I like to think, and she will widen it again. I like to think that the loss of one for the lives of many is a little worth it, don't you think?
And Xainan, you have been standing by watching all of this go down. You're seeing Lumièra quirk her wrist, right, in a perfect clock-like formation to widen that hole, that time-struck hole in the center of Noah's chest, but still not quite quick enough to kill him yet. What do you do?
First, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
The X, was that visible to Xainan as well?
Yes.
I think it took him a moment to even catch up to what was going on, because he stared at that and it was like burned into his vision. And finally coming back and seeing Lumièra manipulate something that Xainan's never seen anyone do before, this unmaking. And he steps forward, the red arterial fire in his eyes, that X still echoing. How did you know who we are?
If I tell you, would it even make a difference in how all of this ends? I suppose that doesn't matter.
Answer him.
Fine. Gunslinger. Oregonus tells me things. He is a god. He can see past the veils that separate worlds. And so I know, only from hearsay, from my god, that there are worlds. Worlds beyond this one, beyond even the Wildsea. And from one of those worlds, people like you came to Arachnis 300 years ago and planted a bright green seed of his doom.
Huh. So you're saying you've heard of us. And as he says that, his hand goes under his clothes, not all the way back like he's reaching for his rifle, but into one of the pouches on his hip.
Yes, I have heard of you. People like you, gunslinger, like you, healer. You see, we are really not so dissimilar. All of us serve a greater purpose. No?
You're right, I do. And
gunslinger.
Xainan takes the gunpowder pouch that he has been carrying, what he uses to load his gun, and with the same hand that he punched Noah with, shoves it into the ash.
In his chest?
Yes.
I think in that moment, Lumièra, you could see her hand shaking as she's trying to hold it. And as she sees you reaching, she lessens it, makes eye contact with you, and steps to the side. Lets you have at it.
What have you...
As soon as you release the liminal, Noah explodes. Bits of flesh, bone, blood, gore. We only see this for a fraction of a second before it all disintegrates into dust. No, ash. No. Is there really a difference now, Xainan, as all of it settles heavy and ashen and dust-like onto the leaves around you, onto the brim of your hat, onto the shoulders of your black duster, onto Lumièra's hair, streaking those black strands with white artificially, even as more of that white has coiled outward. And the liminal, as soon as it's gone, your hand springs back from the force of releasing it, like you've just let go of a recoiling gun yourself. And on that recoil, on that explosion, we shoot upward into the canopy, into the soaring heat and roaring fires and flames of Arachnis and Amergen. So, Amergen, you have just been blasted full in the face by a column of fire. You're still mostly fine. What do you do?
I think it's Amergen. It's time for my... I gotta start my idea. I think I get Arachnis' attention long enough for I see Seir gets Arachnis' attention back, so I think we have like ping-ponged this dipshit enough where he's having a hard time keeping his focus on something. And I'm going to... What's the ceiling here? Like, I'm in the darkness under ease. Where's like...
Yes.
Where's like... What's my ceiling? What's my ceiling situation like? What would you say is the ceiling?
It's like you're at the bottom of a massive forest floor, and above you is just more branches and twisting vines and even roots coming from slightly smaller trees. There's really no ceiling, but there's a lot of coverage.
Okay, I need to get above Arachnis.
Okay, you can do that, yeah.
I fly up above Arachnis, and I have a question once I get above Arachnis.
I love these horrifying questions from my players. I feel menaced.
It's not just you, Connie.
Go ahead.
You asked somebody last time, what's the color of your soul 2 minutes into the session? Did I feel my mom tug on me?
Yeah. Yes. It was a deep, instinctual, magical feeling.
I get up above Arachnis, and I start to circle. Almost like a perfect, like almost like in a perfect circle, like I almost like hit my own tail. Mother, I need your help.
Okay, that's gonna be a roll. That's gonna be a roll, Amergen, to see how quickly you can reach your mother and how much of her help can come through this connection. So edgewise, I think this is either tides or like sharps or grace.
Let's say Let's use tides. I have tides and grace. Tides feels cooler.
Let's do it. Yeah, you're like literally connecting to the tides of the Wildsea in this moment. What skill are you bringing in?
Can we say sense?
Yeah, let's say so. And since you're still in dragon form, 3d6 to the pool.
Sick. Okay, you gave me 3d6. It's not as sexy as Sam's. It's a 5 and a 6.
That is still a triumph. Yes. So, Umergen, what does it feel like as you reach out to your mother through this soul bond the two of you have?
When I was 6, I was playing in the palace. And I had this weird idea that I could fly. And so 6-year-old Umergen tried to leap from one of the parapets. And almost as like a second nature, my mom was like at the bottom and just like caught me. And it was this like feeling of weightlessness. And I didn't start flying, but I also knew I wasn't going to be hurt. Because I knew someone was going to be there. I knew it would be her. And I think it's like that. I think it's like a feeling of weightlessness. And I know she's going to be on the other side.
That feeling of weightlessness comes through you again as you circle upward and begin to circulate above Aragnus's head. You cry out. Reach out for your mother. And then when you look again, she's there. Mylesia, she's next to you. And you're both dragons, and you are both women, and you are mother and daughter, and you see her face, and she sees yours, and she cups the side of your cheek with love and tenderness, and she says, Umergen, my child, my daughter, my heart, call the storm, and I will come. And through the circle that you have formed, a storm begins to coalesce. And as the rains begin to surge downward, a deluge pours. These are the same rains buffeting Siren's song. As the rain falls down through this curtain of water, we now go back north, back west towards Siren's song, and we see Mylesia perched upon her palace, her eyes glowing cerulean, and she looks away from her left, where she sees that visage of her daughter that she was just cupping the side of her face. It vanishes, and she redirects her attention back to her people as she drowns out the last of the fires consuming her home, and a proud smile widens across her mouth, and we cut back east, back down through the thrash and the tangle and the sink and the drown into the darkness under eaves, where you are circling and summoning the storm. And Umergen, tell me, how does the storm feel as it pours out of you?
I have been angry for so long, and I didn't know why. And it's not even at Aragnus, and it's not at my mother, and I don't think I figured out why I've been so angry. But I know now that I am no longer angry. I don't even hate Aragnus. I don't hate the Baron. Have I forgiven? No. But I refuse to carry this rage in my heart anymore.
So does this storm feel like that letting go? And that deluge of all those emotions pouring downward?
Yeah, I think it feels like... I don't think the opposite of rage is love. I think the opposite of rage is relief.
These rains, Umergen, these life-giving, soul-restoring, cleansing, healing waters pour down from this circle. And it's not that the water wants to conquer or destroy the fire. It's that the fire can't feel kindness without shirking away. And as the water pours down upon Aragnus, steam erupts in huge gallons above his shoulders. He lets out a You, and we see him die down and then get big and then die down and then get big again as he's oscillating, trying to beat back against the downpour of water by channeling more and more into his own fire, into his own rage. This is relief fighting against anger. This is rage exploding against the attempt to heal and recenter. And in this moment, as this fire is growing big and then small and then massive and then tiny and then big and then small again, we cut down to Seir. Seir, you witness all of this happen. And though you might have plans forming in your head, for some reason, movement underneath you, beyond the burning branch, somewhere in the darkness under eaves, catches your eye. And you see her. Igni. She's starting to move, ignored, overlooked by the rest of Nova and the Scions in the midst of this furious battle. What do?
I think Seir was knocked out of the cyclone of obsidian, of flame, and as the rains fell and Oregnus is being tampered down by the cooling waters, he was knocked off balance and spun in the air for a moment, but he still regains his footing with his wings. And as he notices the movement towards Igni, I think he just lands onto the side that she's walking towards and just lands with both his feet and just asks, "And where are you heading?"
And Igni, this titan of a woman, her past burned to ash, her future on the verge of ignition, she pulls herself to her full 8 feet of height. And you see, all of you see, just past that exterior of hardened amber, the knight she once was, the knight she could have been. If only. Igni's eyes are crimson as fire, crimson as blood, but a flash of that coal-black gaze remains buried somewhere deep within her like a seed within sunken loam. And at first her face is wide with shock. She's looking past you at the Baron's exploded form, now just shattered into dust. Baron. No. And then Oregnus roars. The oil-black blood, the blood-red oil, it pours from Igni's nostrils and her eyes and her mouth, and she falls back down onto one knee, and she groans.
I fall onto my knees, and Seir kind of like grabs hold of Igni's shoulder, and he's beginning to call that power again, that power of destruction, of calamity, to try and siphon this oil like he had seen in his own omens. But he knows he can't do it unless Igni lets him.
That's true.
And he looks down at Igni's eye, like arterial eyes, and says, "He is killing you. Let him go. Let this go."
I don't understand. I thought this was the way. I thought this was the way to make things right. To make up for all the times I've failed.
You did not fail, Igni. This is not who you are. And I think like as he's trying to like grip onto Igni, steadying her as the oil keeps like sputtering out of her, I know this is not who you are, Iphigenia.
How do you know? Who are you?
I met a really, really cool pirate queen. And she talks about you the way a mortal speaks of the glory of the sun. She speaks of you like basking in its light, in its warmth. She speaks of you like a protected. I know what that's like. And he like grips onto her tighter. I know what that's like. You're not a killer. You're a protector. That's who you are.
Even though this oil black blood continues to pour from her eyes, her nostrils, her mouth. She stops shuddering. She stops shivering and shaking as you speak to her, as you look into her gaze, and you see the crimson of her irises begin to peel back, fade, spread away, to reveal the coal black obsidian that was always underneath, that has not yet been transmuted into a pure object of hatred and despair. And Igni...
They're looking for you. They still hope.
And Igni... No. Iphigenia looks up at you, Seir, and breathes in. And when she exhales again with a sputtering cough, you use that power within yourself to siphon out, to draw out that last bit of influence that Aregnis still has over her like an oil black snake. You rip it out of her soul, and it writhes in your grip like an eel trying to slither out from your grasp. How do you get rid of it?
Seir looks down at Igni, looks back up to the flame, to the oil serpent in his hands, and all he says is, "Die, little omen," and he will ignite it in flame in his hand.
A pillar of flame opens up in your hand, and this oil black omen wiggles furiously for half a second before disintegrating into ash. And as you release your hand, the flames vanish, and a crumbling pillar of dust like salt pillows downward to your feet. And Iffy looks down at you, chest heaving, looking more like herself than you've ever seen her, and she says, "He lied to me. I should have known. He lied about Axel. He lied even about me being Baron of Flame. He promised me the title that he bestowed upon you. But this whole time I was just oil. I was just a resource. He was just using me like he was using you. These
titles, they're not valuable. They're illusions. They are manipulations." And he kneels back down, and Seir's blue eyes, those boyish young blue eyes, look upon Iphigenia. And all he says is, "All I wanted to do was protect my strike team. And I imagine all you wanted to do was to protect Axel, the twins, the others. I can't imagine what place I would be if I knew that I failed my own strike team. But it's not too late for either of us." And he'll stand up, extend an arm down. "We can make this right. We can fix everything.
I have a future to fight for." And she reaches up to you and clasps your hand. And on that connection happening, up above in the canopy, Aregnis, writhing against this deluge circling down from Amergen, lets out a piercing, shrieking, desperate, angry roar as he feels that connection between himself and his final Baron break. And he flings a claw down, and a bolt of fire shoots down past the storm pouring downward, past that burning branch that Seir drifted down from, toward where Igni is currently trying to straighten up to her full height, grabbing onto Seir, Lumièra, and Xainan. The two of you are also right there, and you hear that roar first, and you see that bolt of flame come down. What do the two of you do?
Xainan doesn't react. He's still standing, staring at the ash pile that remains, and all he says is, "Trust in her will."
I think just for a brief second, Lumièra was stuck still, shaking just a little bit. The hand that was holding the liminal is still shaking in nervousness. Her typical nervous, jittering, before she steels herself when she hears those words, trust in her will. Because she does. Lumièra nods. Trust in her. And heads forward to attempt to push them out of the way.
Yeah, Seir and Igni.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sure. So I'm gonna say, in terms of how fast you're able to do it and how much damage you're able to mitigate for them and yourself, that's gonna be like an iron or a teeth edge. But you can tell me on something else.
I'll take iron. Iron's cool.
Excellent. What skill are you bringing in?
Brace.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay, go for it.
Okay. Let me see here. Okay, cool. That's
Xainan, while Lumièra's rolling, would you like to assist her effort or do something else in this moment?
I think the moment that she starts to walk forward, he remembers that we're in a place that's actively on fire. And he is going to step forward with her, probably a moment behind, and he will assist by... he takes the last bit of the bag that's in his hand still and is going to try and use the actual physical item to impede some of the flame, blow off some of the fire.
Oh, I see. Throw it up toward the fire and have an explosion disperse some of the impact. Okay, yeah. I think that's either gonna be grace for the precision of it, or teeth for just you purely throwing that shit up there.
Sure, yeah. I'm gonna say grace, definitely.
Excellent. What skill are you bringing in?
I think this is gonna be another he's trying to outwit the actual direction of the fire and get the angle correct and all of that stuff.
Sounds good. Make an outwit roll. Lumièra, what did you get?
I got a 5, a twee.
A 5? Is there a twist?
No, just a 5.
Okay. That's a conflict. Success with a drawback. Okay. And Xainan, what did you get?
6 with a pair of 3s.
Let's go.
Okay. 6 with a pair of 3s. What that means is, Lumièra, you successfully run forward, and what does it look like as you shove Seir and Igni to safety?
I think Lumièra starts walking before she runs and picks up the pace before she is full sprinting towards Seir and Igni and just football tackles them like linemen, just directly out of the way. Damn herself.
Absolutely. Igni also goes. You have a surprising amount of strength, given the fact that you're a trained healer, right? But you tackle Seir, and both him and Igni go tumbling off to the side. However, you do, as the drawback, end up kind of prone in the place exactly where the fireball would have rained down on if it were not for Xainan. And as you huck this satchel of basically gunpowder, we see it arc upward in a perfect scythe of violence and then boom, explode against this fireball several dozen feet above your heads. And it disperses like a firework into dozens of flaming trails that spatter all over you before sizzling, being eaten up and drowned by the soft, wet loam around your feet. A couple of it, I think, rain down harmlessly on all of you like sparklers, right? And the twist means that Oregnus had distracted himself by throwing down that final act of vengeance toward this act of betrayal, and is now, I think, getting drowned out more and more and more by this deluge. We push back up as he shrinks from the size of being gargantuan to about Amergen's size and continues to shrink even more. He's now trying to fly out of the storm, but I assume, Amergen, you either just widen your circle or you follow that bitch. I'm assuming you're not letting him get out of the storm cloud, yes?
Yeah, you can assume that. I realize I'm shaking my head and this is also a podcast. Yes, I am doing that.
Absolutely. And at the same time, all of you, no matter where you are in the battle, you hear Sing's voice cry out, "This is it! This is our chance!" And she jumps off of her platform, and we see those red threads that are ribboning behind her like an unsewn cape now all arc forward, almost like arms reaching forward toward Aregnis. And even as she hovers in the air, these threads ribbon around this fire god and bind him in place. And they stretch between his limbs to the trunks of the heart of the Wildsea, to the roots that are protruding, to vines, to hanging pieces of leaves and vegetation, stringing him up almost like he's caught in the center of some great web that only Sing was able to really see and pluck at. And now he's totally strung down. He's resisting against these threads of red. He's spewing fire from his maw, trying to burn them, but he's unable to. He's too weak from the deluge coming down from above him. And Aubergine, you know, this is it. It's as Sing said. He hasn't reached the apex of his form yet. Now is the time to strike. And as you're circling as that storm continues to pour down, your mother's voice, that caress against your cheek, still lingers as a ghostly, a spiritual touch. And her voice says to you, Aubergine, together. What do you do?
I keep circling, and I get a hit. I see, like, Abasi flinging themselves like a mosquito against a window. And I see... Where's Suhyun? Where do I see
Suhyun is in the darkness under eaves this whole time, watching everything. Their hands have been poised, and you all got the sense that if any of you had been in genuinely dire straits, like you were about to die, they would have intervened.
Okay, Sion's at large. I see them, and I keep circling, and I think anyone can see emergencies. Like the circling is like slowing down. Like I'm tiring out. And she says out loud, "Yes, together, my friends, my love. I need your help too." And in the pit of Aubergine's eye, both eyes, forms like one perfect teardrop in both eye. And you see that like obsidian black start to like drain, and their eyes turn cerulean. And down to Suhyun, one tear drops and like envelops like their whole body. It's like a teardrop on me, and it drops down, and it's like, oh, a car. And the same thing happens to Abasi when at times they like arc up and drop. It like hits them as well. And I say, I alone am not the Wildsea. We are the Wildsea, and we must do this together. Bare your teeth and join me.
And Aubergine, Abasi begins to glow, and so does Suhyun. That same bright cerulean blue ensconces both scions, lifting them up into the air, up, 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 beside you, bathing them in ancestral magic. Abasi's eyes go wide, wide as saucers, wide as the twin moons, as the feathers from her gauntlets spread across her arms, across her torso, across her face. And at the same time, scales appear on Suhyun's skin, each the color of the sky, covering their legs, their back, their face, and that bright blue cerulean light consumes both scions whole, turning them into formless silhouettes that grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until they are each the size of Aubergine, and then the light shatters off the scion of body and the scion of mind to reveal two more dragons. Abasi, is feathered and brawny, with a pair of brown and white wings the same color as Squall's, but her serpentine, twisting body is a mixture of blues, reds, greens, and golds, the tropical palette of the Riah. She has a pair of front talons that protrudes from a muscular chest and a rippling mane of iridescent colors alongside 2 powerful golden antlers, the color of the sun. Next to Abasi, Sukyon is slender and twisting, their draconic body dexterous, even small compared to the other 2 scions, but what they lack in physical strength, they double in arconautical prowess. An amethyst is embedded in their forehead, mounted above a pair of bright blue eyes brimming with magical might. They exert an unseen but deeply felt field that empowers all allies of the Wildsea that bask within it and causes the flames of Eregnus to shirk away, hissing with pain. Armergen, how do you guide the other 2 scions in their draconic forms?
Do you all remember the first time we played? And I boop Abasi on the nose. You're it.
Oh, this is amazing! I feel stronger than I've ever felt before! Do you see me, Aubergine? Do you see how strong I am?
Yes. Now, we have a ritual to finish, and a god to put back to sleep. And
Yes, quite.
I fly off, and how I guide them is we literally look like we are 3 dragons dancing and playing in the sky to keep this going. Because again, this is not about revenge, and this is not about anger. This is about feeling the relief of letting go of rage. And what better than playing a game of tag like you're 6?
I fucking love this. As the other scions join you in this dance, you no longer have to keep the storm going by yourself. The clouds down here at the bottom of the world continue to widen and widen and widen, covering not just the central tied-up body of Eregnus, but all the other fires that he's started with his emergence, dousing them, draining them of their aggressive power. And now, as these dragons circle above and Eregnus continues to shrink under Sing's power, we pan back down to Strike Team Nova for, I think, like one last round of action in this pivotal, crucial moment. We flash back to Xainan first.
After the explosion, and suddenly there's dragons, plural, and there's a lot going on, and he sees the scions, the real purpose behind their mission to rescue the princesses and bring them home. They're here. They don't need us, but they need their home. And Xainan looks down to the crystal that he has been wearing around his neck, the seat of the Pinwolf spirit, Morn. And he pulls it off his neck and says, "Come here, boy," and calls forth the spirit of Morn.
Morn springs out of this crystal, and there's almost like a distant howling as the spirit wolf is summoned.
I need you to do one last thing for me. I'm gonna send you home. And he pulls from his jacket, from the same place that he had been keeping a note at the beginning of this mission, but now it's a new note. It's a different note. And it's folded nicely, and he's been thinking. And he puts the crystal into that note. And very quickly, with just ash on his fingers, he scribbles on the outside of this nicely folded note, "Eregnus fire. The scions are at Jianmu. Send aid." And he hands the whole thing to Morn. "I need you to go home."
And Morn takes this note and the amethyst in his mouth even though it's translucent, the note vanishes as soon as it's within his maw, and he bounds up with impossible dexterity, up like 30, 40, 50 feet onto the nearest branch, and then up 60 feet onto the next one, bounding up, 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 using the deluge as cover, even as the rain passes through his body, and then he's gone, with a purpose stalwart in his mind. Xainan, is there anything else you do?
He's just gonna turn back to the fight with his rifle ready.
All right, and next to you, we pan to Lumièra.
Lumièra is on an adrenaline high. Her eyes are wild, and she looks around frantically. Her hand is right next to where she keeps her knife, and she just kind of steps back in formation behind Xainan, flanking him at his left.
Yeah. We see your eyes widen, your heart pounding, adrenaline rushing through your body as you step into formation next to Xainan and look up at what you hope will be the end of this tumultuous fight. And as you look up, we pan next to you to find Seir.
Seir watches his better half flit and move like a songbird in the wind, dashing across these red threads. And there's this moment where he sinks into himself, and he's never felt more connected to his sibling, to his sister. They are one in this moment. Her heartbeat is his heartbeat. Her heightened pulse is his. Her rapid breathing is also his. She needs him. So Seir unsheaths his crescent blades and feels that whole, incredible presence of a very tall woman with a set of golden eyes. And he whistles, because Squall is still around, right? Because Abasi has turned into a dragon. And as he whistles for Squall, I would love to get on Squall to get to be on the other side of Sing to help her keep this beast down and taut for the rain.
Absolutely. Why the fuck not? Yeah, Squall breaks through some leaves, canopies, twigs, right? Exploding out of this ignited shadow, and scoops underneath you without even needing to pause and look at you to understand what's happening. You jump onto their back and you're being borne up back toward the fight.
To my sister. Thanks, boy.
And there's a as those wings flap and you are ascending 10, 20, 30, 40 feet, going toward that bound up fire god. And now we pan to Amergen. Amergen, what does the final play, the final game, this final gambit of yours look like to end this?
I mean, I gotta tag Regnus. He's it.
Yeah! Are you doing it yourself, or are all three of the scions coiling downward?
I think we all three coil down. We start forming like a tighter and tighter circle, and we start coiling around a Regnus. You call us children. You say that you are a god. What I see is a scared, forgotten relic. And I feel sorry for you. It cannot be easy to be forgotten. It cannot be easy to feel loss. It cannot be easy to be unmade. If I thought there was any chance for us to coexist, I would seek it. I do not hate you. I do not even feel revenge towards you. I do not even pity you because you are not worth the time. So, Regnus, I say goodbye. And if there ever comes a time, I think you can know relief and peace, I will say hello. And we all, we tighten and tighten and tighten until Suihan is like around the legs and Abasi is like gripping the chest, and I stop and look right at Aregnus's face, and I just am going to like hopefully tap the center of their head and hope we've done enough to turn them into a pile of ash. Don't laugh like that. Hey everyone, don't laugh like that.
Okay. With a claw, you tap him in the center of his head, and he freezes. This whole time he was thrashing against these ribbons of red, tying his limbs to every tree, every root of the Wildsea, but he stills suddenly as you tap him between the eyes, and he looks at you with an unreadable expression. And even as the rains continue to pour down and the heat sizzles against his form, he doesn't vanish. Instead, he closes his eyes, and for a half second, the fire on his body goes out, and he turns into just a serpent of pure oil. And as the water collects against the oil, we see it ripple like rain falling on mud, and then a noise begins to build. A strange, distant noise, but no, it's actually happening right in front of you. You see a bright red heart begin to glow within that oil-black chest, spreading outward a brighter, more crimson flame than even ever before. And he opens his eyes, and the pits of his eyes are a blazing red beyond what arterial could be, and fire explodes outward from his body, pummeling into you, pummeling into Suhyun, pummeling even into Abasi, who is the last to be flung off of Aregnus's body. And I need all three Scions and everyone on the floor and Seir, who's on Squall, to mark 4 boxes as this final fiery eruption emanates from him as Aregnus reaches his final form.
I'm sorry, you said how fucking many?
4 boxes.
I was hoping you were lying. Okay.
4 boxes. And his fiery wings spread wide, exploding from his back, severing every single red thread, and Sing is flung backward. She rights herself midair and lands on a midair platform, but she's also scorched, and his eyes are blazing, and his body is blazing with newfound fury in the face of his rallying opposition, and he says, "Enough! The time has come for me to stop playing with my food. I tire of your naive prattle. Feast your unworthy eyes upon the true heart of Aregnus and learn the true meaning of despair." And on that, he reaches a claw upward toward the unseen sky, and the fire climbs so high it scorches the stars black. And we're going to end the session there. So thank you all so much for tuning into episode 30 of Arc 1 of the Chaos Protocol. I've been your game master and creative producer, Connie Chong. You can find me across the internet at by Connie Chong. That's BYCONNIECHANG. I'm going to pass things over to Austin.
Hey. Hey, I'm Austin Taylor. My pronouns are he, they, she. I just got done playing Amerjin, whose pronouns are she, they. You can find me, Austin, the real person, at Sales Code Austin, everyone, and as Sailor SCT Austin. I'm an award-winning game writer, designer, performer, and friend, and recent Maximum Fun podcaster. You can find my podcast on Max Fun every week. It's Secret History of Nerd Mysteries, The Secret History of Nerd Mysteries, on Max Fun every Tuesday, or wherever you get podcasts. Val's next. Sorry. That... What the fuck? Val's next.
Hi, I am Valiant. What the fuck was that? Connie Dorian. I use he, him, his pronouns. You can find me all around the internet at Valiant Dorian and Auto Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that treasure hunt that I just set you on. Tonight I've been your fiery little meow meow Seir, who uses he, they pronouns. Kai.
I don't know, man. Hi everyone, I'm Kai. I use he, they, and she pronouns. You can find me everywhere as Estelle of Imladris, and screaming into the void on all week until we get to the finale of this, apparently. I have been Mr. Very Fiery, hey, what if I'm a pouch of gunpowder, Xainan Esh, who uses he, him pronouns. Check it in with Sam. How you doing, Sam?
Ooh, Sam is edgeless, but your girl's still here. Hey, everyone. Yeah, that's me, Sam Star. You can find me all across the interwebs at Lust for Life X, LUSTTFORLIFEEX. Yeah, tonight I played Lumièra, who once again has never done anything wrong in her life. Boss man?
Ever. It's me, the boss. I love it when I just absolutely just scream. I'm just screaming on stream, and my cast is like, so concerned. Yes, this is a double Transplanar week. The finale, my friends, the finale of Arc 1 is this Saturday. That is Saturday, November 18th at 8 p.m. US Eastern Time. We are fully pre-recording this because it's gonna be a big one. It's gonna be a doozy. So enjoy like the background music. It's gonna be excellent. We're gonna be in chat live, all of us. So hyping it up. So it's still gonna be live and get that like nice live hype in that regard. But yeah, I hope to see you there. Tell your friends about it. Tell your family. Tell your pets. Tell your cat. Tell your dog. Tell your parakeet. We will see you Saturday, 8 p.m. US Eastern Time, November 18th. We love you all so much. It's time for the end of Arc 1, my friends. We're gonna be leaving the Wildsea. Use that code. We love you so much. And Bijo.